Welcome to First It Hurts, the podcast where we peel back the layers of pain, healing, and personal evolution with zero filters and full fire. I'm your host, Tehya, trauma survivor, truth teller, and your no bullshit guide through the messy, uncomfortable, and brutally beautiful path of the becoming. This podcast isn't here to sugarcoat shit or make you feel good. It's here to wake you up, to shake you out of the cycles that are keeping you stuck, to remind you that taking back your power starts the moment that you stop running from the fire and start walking through it. Because the truth is, first it hurts, then it changes you. If you're done playing small, done shrinking yourself to fit in, and you're ready to burn the old version of you to the ground, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Let's get into it. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to today's episode. I am so excited to dive into this topic because this is something that so many of not only my listeners, my clients, my friends, my family, all are struggling with. This is something that I deeply resonate with as well. This has been a huge part of my journey and something that I've really had to bring awareness to in order for me to actually overcome it. And I will die on this hill unless you actually bring awareness to this thing. You are going to continue to fight the same battle. You are going to continue to experience the same loops over and over again. Because it controls a lot of our lives. And unless you actually understand where it's stemming from, it will continue to control a huge part of your life. So we're diving in today to self-sabotage because so many people are struggling with it. And maybe you might not think to yourself, I struggle with self-sabotage. You may not identify with that, but it's probably showing up in your lives in various ways. Being in the fitness industry for so long, I noticed a lot of my clients self-sabotaging on the weekends. Maybe they're falling off. Maybe they just stop tracking. Maybe they, have a few too many drinks and they end up binge drinking or binge eating or whatever it is. Maybe it's in relationships. Maybe you are self-sabotaging by finally having a healthy relationship and you're starting arguments with your partner, or everything is so calm for so long and it feels a little bit too uncomfortable for your subconscious mind. So you have to rock the boat and you have to start something. Maybe it's showing up financially. Maybe you're trying to get ahead financially and you continue to self-sabotage. Maybe you are, spending money on things that you know that you shouldn't. Maybe you're eating out way too much and you know that there are other ways to save money. So that can come in, self-sabotage can come in so many different forms. And the most impressive thing that I've learned about self-sabotage is the fact that a lot of it's running on autopilot and we don't even know it. So that's a really unfortunate fact about self-sabotage, but that's why we're here. And that is why I want you to bring awareness to where this is actually stemming from and how it's actually showing up in your life so that you can start making changes. Because once you actually bring these patterns to consciousness, then it is up to you to start making changes to it. So I'm super excited. This is a really hot topic for me. I talk about it a lot in all of my programs because it is something that, like I said, controls a lot of our life, especially if it's something that we have done for years and years and years and years on end. We're going to continue to do it because that's what's familiar. And that is what I want to help you break out of. That is what I want to actually help you overcome so that you can step into the best version of yourself, so that you can actually become this version that you have been trying to become all of 2025. And maybe self-sabotage is the thing that is standing in your way right now. So we're going to get to the bottom of this so that you can get the hell out of your own way and you can actually take steps towards reaching your goals. In case you didn't know, we are halfway through 2025, so this is the perfect time for you to pause and actually evaluate. Ask yourself, and you can do this through this episode as well, asking yourself where self-sabotage has shown up for you. Where have you dropped the ball? Where have you maybe said you were going to follow through on something, whether it is fitness, health, relationships, healing, financially, in your business, entrepreneurship, whatever it may be? Where have you self-sabotaged? take a couple seconds and really reflect on that. Like, how is that showing up in your life? And the first thing that we can do, and this is the first thing that I do in all of my programs, is awareness. Because you can't actually change without awareness. You can't actually overcome the self-sabotage pattern, the self-sabotage loop, without first bringing awareness to it. So take a second, pause this episode if you need to, because I really want you to reflect on how this is showing up in your life. So first, I want to help you actually define and get a clear picture on what self-sabotage is. Because when we think about self-sabotage, a lot of people's minds go to like failure, unworthiness, weakness, those sort of like obviously negative connotations, because no matter how bad your conscious mind wants to follow through, you want to reach the goals, you want to lose the weight, you want to build the business, you want to post on social media, whatever it is that your goals are, you subconsciously find a way to self-sabotage that in some way, shape, or form. So I want you to actually understand at the root. I am not here to slap more band-aids on your problems. I am here to actually help you get to the root of why this is continuing to show up in the first place. It can continue to go through the rest of your life until you actually stop and bring awareness to it. So this is the end. We're breaking the cycle here, okay? So understanding what self-sabotage actually is. Self-sabotage is not a sign of weakness. It is not a sign of lack of discipline. It's what you might think, what you might refer to when you think of that. But self-sabotage is actually a way for your subconscious mind to keep you safe, because your subconscious mind is always going to go with what's familiar. And if what you've done for the past 10, 20, 30, 40 years is falling off every single weekend, drinking every single weekend, starting arguments with your partners when things start to calm down, your brain is going to go with what is familiar. It doesn't give a fuck about your success, about your happiness in your relationship, about your results, your abs, your financial success. Your subconscious mind does not care about anything your conscious mind wants. All it cares about is keeping you safe. So it's important for you to understand that your subconscious mind is running the show here. That is what is continuing to keep you in this self-sabotage loop. It is not you consciously saying, yeah, I think I'm just gonna go to Texas Roadhouse and eat a whole fucking basket of rolls, right? No, it like kind of happens automatically. It kind of happens on autopilot, right? It's like you get there and like that's what you've done for the past, 10, 20, 30 years again. And your subconscious mind is gonna be like, see, this is what we do. And it's always finding proof to back up the beliefs that you already have. So if you have this subconscious belief that I'm a lazy person, you're gonna constantly find ways, your subconscious mind is going to seek out proof to prove that belief correct, to prove to you that you're right, you are a lazy person. Or if you have this subconscious belief that you're never going to lose weight, maybe you're telling yourself over and over and over again that you're never going to lose weight. You can't keep it off. No matter how hard you try, you're never going to lose weight. Your subconscious mind is going to go and seek out proof to prove to you and back up the belief that, see, you never lose weight. So it's going to make you do things that you don't necessarily want to do consciously. Okay, so this is a subconscious programming, and that is where self-sabotage is stemming from. It's stemming from an automatic programming that has been implanted, that has been running on autopilot. It's literally like a programming you put in the system, and when you repeat it and repeat it and repeat it for so many years, your mind is like, hey, cool, like this is our programming, this is what we do. All right, this is what we do. So it's going to constantly find proof until you interrupt the pattern. That is the conscious part that you have to take control over. So it's important for you to understand that self-sabotage is not a conscious choice. It is something that it has been up until this point, because you're watching, listening to this podcast right now. Up until this point, these patterns have just been automatic. Maybe you've thought consciously, damn, I need to stop this. I know what I need to do. I just can't follow through. Gosh, I always quit on my goals. You're probably thinking that, but it's a subconscious programming that is running the show, and that's why you keep doing it. Things are starting to click now. Okay. So now that you're recognizing that all of these things have just been automatic for you, you can start to take back your power. Yes, this is how we change. We change when we take back our power. We change when we actually bring awareness to the things that we don't want to actually do. I know that you don't want to self-sabotage. I know that you don't want to continue to keep yourself in this yo-yo dieting cycle. I know that you don't want to keep ruining good relationships in your life. I know that you consciously don't want to. So once you bring awareness to this, now you get to change, okay? So I want you to understand the neurochemical addiction that goes on with self-sabotage, because it's a loop. It is a self-sabotage loop that we find ourselves, and it's a pattern that we experience again and again and again, right? And we so badly want to change, but we can't. And it's because it's an addiction. When you're in this self-sabotage loop, your brain is looking for dopamine, and your brain is addicted to the cortisol that it brings you, that this loop brings you. So this loop starts with a trigger. You are always going to have a trigger, whether it is someone invites you out, maybe it's some things getting a little too calm in your relationship. Maybe it is you had an unexpected bill and you start to spiral. You're always going to have a trigger that causes the self-sabotage loop. That leads to emotional dysregulation. After the trigger, then we just get super dysregulated. We start to panic, right? We go into this emotional spiral. We start to crash out because we stepped on the scale and it was up, or we ate a little bit too much, or we, started an argument in our relationship. Whatever that trigger was, now we're dysregulated. And what that leads to then is a coping behavior, right? Maybe that's binge eating. Maybe that is binge drinking. Maybe that is numbing out and scrolling social media, or binge watching Love is Blind, whatever your crutch is. You have a coping mechanism of some sort. We all obviously have different vices, but when you're in this self-sabotage loop, it's on repeat, baby. It's the same coping mechanism that you use for nearly everything. And maybe you alternate between a couple, but you're going to notice trigger, emotional dysregulation, coping behavior. Then we have shame and guilt that comes with that. We know what shame and guilt feels like. It's that voice in the back of our head that's telling us you're terrible, you suck, you shouldn't have done that, you're never going to reach your goals, you're never going to have healthy love, you're never going to be able to save money, you're never going to be successful. We have that just guilt and overwhelming shame from what we did. After that, we have this huge pendulum swing where we try to fix it. We try to make things right, and we go to the complete opposite side where we try to overcompensate. And that just leads to burnout. And then when you get burnout, you're going back to the self-sabotage loop, and here we go again. Right? So it's really important for you to understand that cycle and what's actually happening. So we went through what self-sabotage actually is. It's an autopilot programming that's running in the back of your mind. Your subconscious mind controls 95% of your life. And your subconscious mind was programmed. It was really primed. It's been programming throughout your entire life, of course. But from ages 0 to 7, you are like a sponge. You are absorbing everything. These are the years where you're taught how to be loved, how to express yourself, what you needed to do to be accepted, how you needed to act, what you needed to look like, right? When we're 0 to 7, that's when we're being taught. It's like when you see a baby and when we're, conscious now and we're older now, we can look at a baby and it's just like, you say fuck and the baby says fuck and it's like, oh no, don't say that, right? But that's how we're programming. You can look at a baby and just see they're repeating the same cycles. They're saying exactly what we're saying. They're doing exactly what we're doing, because those are the crucial years in our life. So if you pause for a second and you think back to ages 0 to 7, how were you treated? How were you loved? How were you given reassurance? Were you given safety and protection? Or was it the opposite where you were trying to survive, where you were trying to just make it to the next day, where you had to self-source your own love? Maybe you were, disassociating and completely lost in your own life at such a young age. So we can look at those and we can honestly start to relate those to how the self-sabotage pattern is showing up. And not only that, but also we can start to actually relate to this on this question that I think is really important that not enough people are asking. I think more people are waking up to this. And I'm so excited to see people starting to ask more of these questions. But why am I the way that I am? How did I get here? Why do I do this? Why do I act this way? Why do I say these things? Why do I respond in this way? Why do I react, right? So we can start asking this question, and this is, since we're on the topic of self-sabotage, you may have had coping mechanisms. Maybe you're self-sabotaging with food because that was your escape at a young age. Maybe you ate to escape and feel better and, not feel emotions. So now today you're still in that pattern where you're self-sabotaging because it's been a coping mechanism and it's been a pattern in your life for so long. Maybe when you were growing up, you had parents that abandoned you. And now when you're in relationships, you finally find a soft love. You find a man that is too good to be true, right? And you start arguments and you start to have trust issues and you start to get insecure and you're self-sabotaging this relationship because all you have ever known is abandonment. All you've ever known is trust issues. All you've ever known is people leaving. Right? So now it's really hard for you to be in a relationship that is actually safe, that actually provides for you and wants to love you and wants to pour into you because that's not familiar. And when things are not familiar, they're a threat to your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind's only goal is to keep you safe, is to keep you in the familiar. So if you have something that no matter how bad, yes, we all want love, we want to lose weight, we want to do all these things, we want to be successful, we want to have freedom, we want all of these things. But if it feels like a threat to your subconscious mind and your nervous system, really important key factor there, you will continue to self-sabotage again and again because your subconscious mind's job is to keep you safe. And safe equals familiar. Safe equals familiar. So it's really important for you to understand what is familiar for you. Not what is right, not what you want, but what is familiar for you. And again, going back to what I said about bringing awareness, this is the first step in everything that I do inside of my programs because awareness is the key to change. And this is when you start asking yourself, why am I the way that I am? And you start to get answers and you start to get more clarity. And once you can actually start to dig deep beneath the surface, we can't do this surface level shit anymore. If you actually want to get the fuck out of your own way, if you actually want to heal from the things that have kept you stuck for way too long, if you actually want to become this amazing mother so that you can stop breaking generational cycles, if you want to become this successful entrepreneur, you have no other choice. You have to start getting to the root of why you are the way that you are. And only then will you start to change. And only then will you start to actually step into your purpose of why you're here. You'll start to understand yourself instead of hating yourself, because there's so much self-hatred and negative inner critic that happens when you don't understand yourself or you don't understand why you are the way that you are. Instead, you just beat yourself up. You should be doing better. Stop binge eating. Stop numbing out. Stop doing this. You need to lose weight. You need to look this way. You need to do this. You should have done this. We have all of this negative energy towards ourselves when we are supposed to be our own best friends, our own best cheerleaders, our own supporters. And here we are just absolutely tearing ourselves down because we don't understand ourselves. And that's it, baby. That's the key to change, is understanding yourself so wholeheartedly, understanding yourself to your core. And when you do that and you start to bring awareness to yourself, you can begin to forgive yourself. You can begin to love yourself. You can begin to end this cycle. You can begin to actually create a new life. You can create the life that you want to live. And that is such a beautiful thing. That is such a beautiful experience to be able to do. But until you actually take your power back from the things that have had their power over you for so long, you're going to continue to give it away. You're going to continue to outsource your power, your validation, your enoughness. And once you actually start to turn inwards and you start to just choose you, maybe it's for the first time, maybe it's for yourself. Maybe it's not for yourself. Maybe it's for the generation that comes after you. Maybe it's for your daughter or your son. But you have to start choosing yourself. Otherwise, you're going to continue to fall victim to these cycles, to these circumstances, and they're going to continue to run your life. So that is what I have for you today. I'm so excited and I'm so happy to bring this information to you, to bring this wisdom and this knowledge to you, because this is the deep stuff that a lot of people don't want to do. But this is the stuff that absolutely transformed my life, absolutely changed the game for me. So if something cracked inside of you today through this episode, if it's something that you want to take to the next level, you want to get to know yourself, you want to choose yourself, you want to prioritize yourself, and you want to become this version of yourself that you dream of, but maybe you're just standing in your way, or maybe this programming is standing in your way, I want to invite you into the Butterfly Effect program, because this is exactly what we do. This is where we peel back the layers, where we actually discover, who are you at your core? Why are you the way that you are? And we start to rebuild. The Butterfly Effect is my signature 8-week program. We start this next cohort on July 7th. Message me on Instagram, shoot me the message Butterfly, or just ask me a question about it. We can see if it's the perfect fit for you. But if you're ready to take this work to the next level, this is exactly where you need to be. This is the program that you need to fully immerse yourself into, so that you can get out of your own way and start to ask yourself those deeper questions that maybe you've been avoiding for a long time. Either way, I'm so grateful for you joining this episode, and I am excited to continue to bring this knowledge to you guys so that you can continue to level the F up. This has honestly been so therapeutic for me to just come on here and just pour, because I have been honestly talking my boyfriend's ear off, and I think at this point he encouraged me to start the podcast, because he's like, you love to talk, so just get it out there. So thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys for being here and being a part of the show. If you loved this episode, make sure you share it with a friend, maybe a family member that needs to hear the message as well. This is life-changing stuff. This is generational healing. So if you're here for that, make sure you share that. Make sure you share the love. Tag me on your story on Instagram. Make sure you give the podcast a rating, and you can always comment on these episodes too, which I think is really cool on Spotify. So if something resonated with you, comment below as well. But until next time, see you later, my friends.